In a Long Island cemetery in New York, an unremarkable grave holds a secret tied to one of World War II's greatest enigmas. The gravestone reads, Stewart Who, but beneath lies the true family name, Hitler. This is the resting place of Bridget Hitler, wife of Alois Hitler, Adolf Hitler's brother, and mother to William Patrick Hitler. William Patrick spent much of his life trying to escape the shadow cast by his infamous uncle, Adolf Hitler, who died in a Berlin bunker in 1945, leaving a legacy that haunts history. Although William Patrick concealed his identity, he could never fully detach from the Hitler bloodline. Is he the last of the Hitler family? To understand, we must explore the life of the most reviled man in history through the story of his nephew, William Patrick. This narrative also reveals the complexities of family loyalty amid the horrors of history, and how personal identity can be shaped by infamous connections. The intrigue surrounding the Hitler family continues to captivate historians and the public alike, as it sheds light on the human dimension behind one of history's darkest chapters. Beyond the political and military history, the family's story reveals how individuals grappled with their connection to an infamous legacy, negotiating personal survival, identity, and morality in turbulent times. The story also highlights the enduring impact of history on family dynamics and personal choices, offering insight into how legacies of infamy are carried across generations. The Long Island Cemetery itself, relatively quiet and unassuming, stands as a stark contrast to the global notoriety associated with the name it conceals. Visitors rarely suspect the deep historical threads tied to this resting place, which symbolizes both the burden and the attempts at reinvention by this fractured family. William Patrick Hitler was born on March 12, 1911, in Liverpool, England, to Bridget Dowling and Alois Hitler, Adolf's elder brother. The British branch of the Hitler family is documented in William Patrick's birth certificate, a rare testament to Alois's life in the UK. The Hitler family was complex, marked by multiple remarriages and intertwined relationships across Austria and Germany. Alois and his sister Angela were half-siblings to Adolf and Paula, sharing the same father but different mothers. Alois Sr., the patriarch, was a customs official known for his authoritarian and violent parenting until his death in 1903. After marrying Bridget, Alois settled in working-class Liverpool, then a bustling industrial hub and major European port, where he struggled to succeed in various business endeavors, including restaurants and hotels, all of which failed due to his eccentric nature. Liverpool's vibrant immigrant population and industrial economy shaped Alois's attempts to integrate, yet his personality often clashed with local business practices. The city's diverse cultural landscape contrasted sharply with the rigid authoritarianism Alois inherited from his Austrian roots. This cultural clash foreshadowed the difficulties the family would face as the shadows of European conflicts loomed. Liverpool at the time was a melting pot of cultures, with Irish, Welsh, German, and other immigrant communities, which made Alois's efforts to establish himself even more challenging. The city's port was a gateway for ideas and goods, reflecting a world far removed from the rigid social hierarchies Alois was accustomed to. Living at 102 Upper Stanhope Street in Toxteth, Liverpool, Alois sought to launch a safety razor company, aiming to market products across Europe. However, by late 1913, he left Liverpool for Germany and vanished without a trace. World War I erupted shortly after in 1914, and Alois's activities during the war remain unclear. Historian Florian Bay explains that while Alois was known to be in Berlin, no records detail his exact role during the conflict. Crucially, Alois lost contact with his family, including his brother Adolf, whose wartime service as a dispatch runner was well documented. After the war, Adolf stayed in the military amid Germany's political turmoil and joined the German Workers' Party, which he transformed into the Nazi Party by 1920, becoming its leader in 1921. This transformation marked the beginning of a dark chapter in European history, with Adolf's increasing political influence culminating in the destabilization of the Weimar Republic. The period was marked by rampant inflation, social unrest, and political extremism, creating fertile ground for Adolf's rise. Meanwhile, Alois's disappearance and secrecy deepened the family's fragmentation, illustrating how personal stories were overshadowed by the tides of history. The absence of Alois during these formative years of Nazi ascendancy left William Patrick without paternal guidance, further complicating his relationship with his uncle's growing power. Additionally, the mystery of Alois's fate added layers of uncertainty for Bridget and William Patrick, who struggled to piece together their family narrative amid chaos. Back in Liverpool, Bridget coped with Alois's disappearance by joining a dance troupe while raising William Patrick. In 1919, she learned Alois had died during the war, though he had actually remarried in Germany in 1916 to Hedwig Heidemann, and fathered another son, Heinz, in 1923. Alois's bigamy exposed him to legal repercussions in Germany, prompting him to ask Bridget for a divorce, which she refused. Eventually, Bridget provided a letter of credibility to prevent his imprisonment. Meanwhile, Adolf Hitler was rising to power, having survived the failed 1923 Munich coup, for which he was imprisoned for less than a year. During this time, he wrote the first draft of Mein Kampf, beginning his ascent to national prominence. Bridget's situation illustrates the personal costs and fragmented family lives often overshadowed by broader historical events. Her steadfast refusal to dissolve her marriage speaks to the complex loyalties that persisted despite political and personal turmoil. The contrast between Bridget's quiet endurance and Adolf's ruthless ambition highlights the disparate paths taken by family members during this era. Bridget's resilience also reflected the limited options available to women at the time, especially when entangled with volatile family and political dynamics. Her efforts to maintain family stability amid upheaval underscore the human side of a period dominated by ideological extremism and conflict. After Adolf's rise, Bridget and William Patrick moved to London, where she worked as a dance teacher and he apprenticed as an accountant. William Patrick's first known photograph dates from this period. In Germany, the 1929 economic crisis fueled Nazi support, culminating in the massive Nuremberg rallies designed to celebrate Germany's past and promise a Nazi future. The 1929 rally marked the first reunion for the Hitler family in years, where 18-year-old William Patrick met his father Alois and uncle Adolf for the first time since childhood. William Patrick wrote to his mother, describing the overwhelming display of flags and masked uniformed men, noting that Adolf did not want to mix family with politics. These events highlight the tension between private family ties and the public, often brutal political ambitions of Adolf Hitler. The spectacle of the rally showcased the rising tide of nationalism and the cult of personality that Adolf was cultivating. The family reunion was brief and fraught, reflecting the growing divide between William Patrick's personal hopes and the harsh political realities shaping Europe. The powerful imagery of these rallies was designed to unite Germans under a shared identity, even as it masked the violent and oppressive nature of the Nazi regime. The emotional impact on William Patrick was profound, as he navigated conflicting feelings of familial connection and political repulsion. William Patrick was captivated by Adolf's charisma and the fervent support surrounding him. Adolf Hitler's appointment as Chancellor on January 30th, 1933, marked a turning point that deeply affected his family. In London, William Patrick was fired due to his surname's stigma. Encouraged by his mother, he moved to Germany, where Adolf gave him 500 marks and promised a sales coordinator role at the Berlin department store Defaka, where he was assigned an official Nazi chaperone, Otto Schlier. Schlier recalls William Patrick's inappropriate behavior at a company party, where his poor German led to vulgar misunderstandings with female colleagues, resulting in his dismissal after Nazi authorities intervened. This episode underscores the challenges William Patrick faced reconciling his heritage with the strict, ideologically driven environment in Nazi Germany. His struggles were compounded by the oppressive atmosphere of the Nazi regime, which demanded absolute conformity and loyalty. The incident also reveals the isolation and suspicion faced by those connected to high-ranking Nazis, but who did not fully embody the regime's ideals. This precarious position forced William Patrick to navigate a complex web of familial loyalty, personal ambition, and political danger. His experience reflects the broader difficulties faced by individuals caught between family ties and totalitarian demands. Though William Patrick leveraged family ties to pursue opportunities, his conduct displeased both Adolf and the Nazi Party, Alois, meanwhile, opened a wine bar in Berlin with his wife. William Patrick secured an accounting job at rich credit bank, but soon faced harassment from the Gestapo, including blocked work permits and accusations of exploiting his name. By January 31, 1939, William Patrick abruptly left Germany, possibly due to threats or knowledge of impending war. He claimed he refused to renounce his British nationality to stay, and instead chose exile. He signed with an American agent and sailed to New York with his mother in March 1939, receiving media attention as a curious figure amid rising tensions. His departure marked a break from the dangerous entanglements of Nazi Germany and a step into uncertain exile. His story attracted journalists fascinated by the paradox of a Hitler relative critical of the regime. The choice to flee underscored the perilous position of those caught between family loyalty and moral opposition during the Nazi era. His move also highlighted the broader exodus of individuals fleeing Nazi persecution or political oppression on the eve of World War II. The media coverage often sensationalized his story, complicating his efforts to live quietly. In the United States, William Patrick and Bridget were embraced by the William Morris Agency and embarked on a lecture tour exposing Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler. His presence provoked riots, but eventually waned in popularity. FBI files reveal that J. Edgar Hoover monitored their activities closely. After America entered World War II, William Patrick sought to join the U.S. military, writing to President Roosevelt for help due to his British nationality barring enlistment. The FBI launched an investigation, and he was interviewed by intelligence agencies, including the OSS, contributing to a psychological profile of Adolf Hitler, conducted by psychiatrist Walter Langer. This work played a part in the Allied understanding of Hitler's personality and motivations during the war. William Patrick's unique insights lent a personal dimension to the intelligence efforts, blending familial knowledge with political analysis. His involvement illustrated how personal history intertwined with global conflict and intelligence operations during the war. The psychological profile was influential in shaping Allied strategies and propaganda, underscoring the significance of personal testimony in wartime intelligence. His first-hand descriptions helped demystify the dictator's mindset, assisting both military and psychological warfare efforts. In March 1944, William Patrick was allowed to enlist in the U.S. Navy, becoming a propaganda symbol denouncing his uncle. He served in a medical unit until 1946, witnessing the end of the war and Adolf Hitler's suicide in 1945. His father Alois survived wartime Berlin, but died in 1956 in Hamburg, where he was buried under a name change to Hitler. Post-war, the Hitler family dispersed and concealed their identities. A surprising discovery revealed a branch of the family living in Israel, descendants of Alois's second marriage, with Michael Herner, a Hebrew studies scholar in Tel Aviv, as a cousin of William Patrick. This demonstrates the complex diaspora of the Hitler family across continents and cultures after the war. The family's scattering reflects broader patterns of displacement and reinvention following wartime upheaval. These global movements highlight the diverse fates of the Hitler family members in the shadow of history. The Israeli branch's existence also points to the ironic and unexpected paths of families connected to infamous historical figures. Their stories challenge simplistic narratives, revealing the varied ways descendants cope with historical legacies. Michael Herner shared insights into the family's post-war life, including name changes to avoid association with the notorious Hitler name. Another witness, claiming to be Alois's adopted granddaughter, recalled receiving gifts from William Patrick in America, but noted he never spoke of his American son. Bridget Hitler reportedly authored a family biography, now housed in the Manhattan Municipal Library, documenting their lives before the war but not afterward. Bridget died on Long Island in 1969, and records show William Patrick lived nearby under the alias Stuart Who, a name referencing anti-Semitic ideologist Houston Chamberlain, suggesting lingering ideological ties. This alias reflects the complicated legacy of ideological influences within the family, despite attempts to move on. The use of such a pseudonym hints at unresolved conflicts between repudiation and residual sympathies within the family's identity. These complexities underscore how history and ideology continue to shape personal choices long after the war. The biography remains a valuable resource for historians seeking to understand the personal dimensions behind public history. It provides rare glimpses into the emotional and psychological burdens borne by family members. The Hitler lineage persisted secretly in America. Municipal records and school yearbooks revealed William Patrick had 4 sons: Alexander, Louis, Brian, and Howard. Howard, a skilled musician and popular student, died at 32 in a car accident. His best friend Joseph Sillen recalled Howard revealing the family's secret heritage to him, explaining why the Hitlers guarded their privacy fiercely. William Patrick married German-born Phyllis Jean Jack, and the family led a discreet life to protect their children from the stigma of their surname. Despite secrecy, the weight of their heritage affected them deeply. The sons' varied lives illustrate the struggle between normalcy and the inescapable shadow of their ancestry. Their experiences highlight how family history can shape personal identity, often in silent, profound ways. The family's guardedness signals a collective effort to preserve dignity amid a notorious legacy. This secrecy also mirrors broader societal challenges faced by descendants of infamous figures, balancing openness and protection. Their story is a poignant example of the lasting impact of historical infamy on private lives. Brian and Louis lived together on Long Island with their mother until her death in 2004, maintaining a reclusive lifestyle and running a gardening business. They erected fences to block outsiders, reinforcing their desire for privacy. Alexander, the eldest son, lived alone. Notably, Alexander's full name included Adolf, a controversial choice given their family history. Despite this, he appeared to lead a relatively normal, laid-back life, working as a social worker and distancing himself from the burden of his family name. William Patrick's double life reflected a tension between public notoriety and private anonymity. The family's guarded existence underscores the lasting impact of historical infamy on descendants. Their efforts to create normal lives amidst such a legacy speak to wider themes of redemption and self-reinvention. This quiet resilience exemplifies how families confront and manage inherited burdens. Their lifestyle choices also reflect a conscious attempt to avoid media attention and maintain personal boundaries. The decision to live reclusively may have been motivated by a desire to protect themselves from public scrutiny and to forge their own identities separate from the past. William Patrick's ambiguous legacy is marked by contradictions. A book co-written with his mother, a son named after Adolf Hitler, and a chosen surname with anti-Semitic connotations. Historians struggle to fully understand his motivations, caught between allegiance and rejection of his infamous uncle. After a long illness, William Patrick died in 1987, reportedly buried under the Hitler name despite family discomfort. His 4 sons are believed to have made a pact never to have children, intending to end the Hitler bloodline. Interviews with Alexander reveal a strong family policy of silence regarding their history, underscoring the lasting impact of their legacy. This decision to end the lineage reflects the profound psychological and moral consequences of carrying such a notorious heritage. It also raises questions about how families confront and attempt to escape the burdens of history. Their silence and deliberate choice highlight the complexities of memory, shame, and identity in the shadow of historical atrocities. The pact symbolizes a conscious effort to prevent the perpetuation of a tainted legacy. This resolution underscores the enduring weight of historical guilt and the personal costs of infamous ancestry. The decision by William Patrick's sons to avoid having children raises questions about the psychological burden carried by descendants of infamous figures. Historians speculate that the family's choice reflects internalized beliefs about tainted blood and the enduring shadow of Nazi ideology. Despite William Patrick's attempt to forge a life separate from his uncle, his descendants appear haunted by their heritage, living guarded, isolated lives. Their story highlights the complex interplay between history, identity, and the desire to break free from a notorious past, a struggle that remains unresolved to this day. The legacy of the Hitler family thus serves as a poignant reminder of how the sins of one generation can cast long shadows over those who follow. This narrative invites reflection on how history's darkest chapters continue to shape lives and identities across generations. It also prompts broader questions about forgiveness, reconciliation, and the possibility of redemption in the face of overwhelming historical guilt. The family's experience underscores the enduring power of history to influence identity, morality, and the choices of descendants long after the events have passed. Their journey is emblematic of the broader human struggle to reconcile with a painful past and seek meaning beyond inherited shame.